All right, class, eyes up, heads up. Let's everybody get settled. Okay, let's get ready to get this new chapter started. Okay, we're gonna be starting a chapter, the build up to World War I. And this first lesson is covers the causes, it's called Causes for Concern. And it covers the build up to the war and how we got, how the war started, what led to the war starting, as well as later on in the chapter we'll discuss how the United States got involved as well. So, we're going to discuss important events that led up to the war, things that are happening in Europe, across seas, that weren't really affecting the United States at this point, but were definitely happening overseas. And at first we're kind of ignoring it, but we're going to talk about how the effects of the First Great War, they called it. World War I is also known as the First Great War, since there was additional wars after that where I don't think war should be described as great ever, but that's the way they described it, because it wasn't that it was a great thing that was happening. It was great because it was the first time that so many nations on such a big scale were went to battle. So that's why it's called the First Great War. And we're going to discuss, the factors that led up to the war. There's going to include the roles politics played, economic rivalries that happened, that were going on, as well as the fight for resources in Africa, how that played a role in World War I, and we'll discuss how alliances as well, with alliances prior to World War I that were built years prior actually led to forming Central Powers in Europe, as well as the Allied forces. All right. So basically, at the end of this lesson, your objective is you're gonna be able to explain, like we discussed, the political and economic and other determining factors that led up to World War I, to the start of World War I, and you'll be able to cite events, dates, and important people as well. And to measure this objective, I'm going to have you guys write a 2 to 3 page essay from the point of view of someone who was affected by World War I. Sounds like a pretty cool assignment, right? Yeah. So. I'm going to have you, for example, you can choose to be a nurse that was in one of the medical tents, or you could choose to be a frontline soldier that was affected by the war, or you could choose to be someone that was, back in the United States and had to maybe go into the workforce that was never in the workforce before. And we'll discuss that stuff too, how World War I created opportunities for minorities and women to take roles and that never were really taken before because the lack of young white males to work those jobs, since young white males were primarily the ones who fought, especially from the South. So you're going to be able to do that. Like I said, the person can be real. It could be an imaginary person. It could be someone you make up. It could be someone that's real. You could base yourself on a world leader. You can base yourself on a certain person that was relevant to that time. And it's going to be really up to you guys to decide what you want to do. We'll go over the outline today. And once you get the outline down, I'll approve you guys to keep moving on with your assignment. All right, cool. So why is it important to know about World War I? This is what we're gonna cover, okay? So it's really important because World War I basically helped shape the course of history from that point on, from 1914 till today. It really kind of shaped what we're dealing with today. So it changed how wars go, how warfare is conducted, how people go to war with each other, and it really changed a lot of stuff, a lot of technical advances. They mentioned the machine gun, the submarine, the tank, airplanes. They advanced a lot. All kinds of stuff that happened because of warfare. You'll see because of warfare technology how it really helped advance other stuff. And this is going to be relevant to you because it's really kind of stuff that's going on in the world today. If you look at Russia and the Ukraine, they're currently having conflicts over their border. Looks like Russia's going to invade. Well, Ukraine was part of Russia to a certain point, and then Ukraine got their freedom after World War I, and now Russia's like, no, we kind of want that land because there's a strategic place where it's placed on the map. So they think Vladimir Putin thinks it's rightfully the Russian people's and it belongs to them. So however that plays out, it's not going to be good for Ukraine in either way. And hopefully the United States don't, we're sanctioning stuff right now, but hopefully we won't too involved. But as you'll see, history kind of repeats itself. So when you learn about the past, it really helps you understand what's going on today, and you kind of see why these things are relevant to you today. All right. some stuff you might be able to touch on from past lessons, like when we discussed about the Spanish War. We discussed, yellow journalism, stuff like that. So that kind of stuff will come into play. Propaganda, you'll see how that, how it relates to yellow journalism, how that's used now in the World War I effort, and how they use that on both sides, both the Allied side and the Central Powered side, which are considered the enemies. All right. So, and just so you know, the Allies were, during the war, it really started off as Great Britain, France, and Russia. And then they were fighting against Germany and Austria and Hungary and Italy. And Italy was originally on the Central Power side. And then things changed and they're like, oh no, we want to be on the winning side. So we'll talk about how Italians kind of switched sides, and we'll discuss how the Russians left and how that kind of made a gap and looked like Germany might win the war, but U.S. was fortunately, well, not fortunately, but when U.S. was drawn into the war and really kind of came and saved the day. But we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about other stuff, how, Germany was really, they're just kind of hungry. They're like, we're sick of fighting. We're tired. Let's put these guns down. These guys have sandwiches. They have coffee. They have cigarettes. They have all this stuff. Let's just put our hands up, walk over there. It can't be so bad, right? So we'll talk about that as well. So there's a lot of stuff we'll discuss, and we'll get into this lesson plan. But it's really, really interesting stuff, and I think you're really going to dig it. All right. So, this will also help you kind of get an understanding for your future lessons on World War II, how this laid the groundwork for World War II, how the Allied, after the war, we know we won, right? Everybody knows we won World War I, right? Everybody knows that? You know that? Okay, great. So we're going to talk about how us winning the war and how we treated the Central Powers, like the Germans, after the war, and how that kind of led towards World War II and the rise of Adolf Hitler. So that'll help you advance knowledge for our next lesson. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go around the room and ask, to raise your hand if you have any ideas what might have led to the start of World War I. Yes, you. Okay. I'm close. How about you over there? Okay, good answer. Yes. Similar, yeah. Yes. I'm going to show you a video at the lesson that's going to get us ready for the next part of the lesson. At the end of the opening here, but I'm going to show you a video. It's called World War I Oversimplified, and it'll give you a basic structure of what we're going to be discussing in detail. But it's a really good clip for you to watch, and I really think you're going to get a lot out of it, and it'll kind of reinforce what I've been talking about here for the last 10 minutes. So prior to that, though, I want to get into a little bit about the idea of mania, right? Everybody knows what mania is, right? It's like, I'm crazy. It's mania. I'm a maniac. No. It is mania, yeah, there is that, and it's a psychosis problem. But mania in this text is an acronym, and it's going to go through what I'll tell you right now is militarism, alliances, nationalism, imperialism, and assassination. And this is kind of a good thing to remember when you're kind of trying to remember the breakdown of World War I and why it happened. And we'll discuss these more in detail. But militarism would be basically the buildup of an army, getting it ready. Alliances, these are the people who had formed alliances prior to the war or during the war or because of the war, and how that affected the war or the beginning of the war. Nationalism is basically being very proud in your country, but I'm proud to be an American, but I accept other people. Nationalism is kind of like, no, America's the best, or Germany's the best, everybody else is inferior to us. So it's kind of really hardcore, being a really hardcore patriot, but everybody else is wrong. And basically, you'll do anything your country says because your country's right. Like, they're the best. Go Germany all the way. You tell me to go kill all these people that don't, I'll just do it because it's what the German government wants, and that's what we're supposed to do, right? So, and then imperialism, we'll talk about that, and that's how that links to what happened in Africa with the taking over resources and other foreign countries, European countries trying to fight and battle for those resources in Africa, and how that really led to war. And it's very interesting. It's kind of a side that you never really hear about, and it's very important. And then the assassination of the Arch Ferdinand, Franz Ferdinand, and we'll talk about this. And this, this is relevant, but this is kind of just like the straw that broke the camel back. Does everybody know that saying? It was kind of like you put a bunch of weight on the camel, but one last tiny straw kind of like set it over the side. That's kind of what the assassination part is. Did we care about this so much? Like, not really. Like, did American care that some guy, got murdered, 3,000 miles away? Not really, not necessarily. Did we care enough to bring us into war? Definitely not. But this was a tipping point to actually start the war on the European side, because they just kind of needed that kind of, you know, it was already a powder keg, so powder keg is ready to explode. They just kind of needed that extra little, you know, tipping point to put it over the side. So so Mania basically will give you a great breakdown for you to use for explaining how World War I started, what led to the cause of World War I. All right, so I'm going to play the video for you guys now. Everybody, eyes up, heads up. Thank you. You can take your notepads out and keep them out for right now. You can take some notes on the video, then we'll go into more detail after the video. Sound good? All right, class, great. Let me turn off the lights.